Hey, this is Garret Bryl. I'm out here with Don Casey. If you don't know Don Casey, he flies for PCERT through the Midlothian Police Department. And Don picked up one of the Wingsland Z15 spotlights, and we kind of want to give you a review about how it works and some of the fantastic things that it can do, and also some of the ways that it can be improved. So out here, this is going to be the actual operational test. We're out here in kind of a field next to some woods, and we'll show you what it looks like and see if this is something that could work for your agency. I'll go ahead and, whenever you're ready, go ahead and so you're going to show the menus first. All right, so this is the menus that it provides, and it's pretty much simple, on and off. And I think there's also a strobe feature on there, right? So they call it twinkle. Okay, and so we can get kind of a strobing effect, and then other than that, it's just a simple and basic on and off. So let's go ahead and put it up in the air, Don. Go ahead and turn it off for now, and let's go ahead and put it up in the air.
Take off.
Now go ahead and climb up a little bit higher if you don't mind. All right, that'll work. So if you want to go ahead and close that menu, and let's see what it looks like. So this has the Z30 on there right now, and does this have IR cut turned on or not?
It does not. I don't think it does have IR cut turned on.
We'll leave it off for this demo, but go ahead and point the Z30 down at the tree line, down at the ground. Okay. All right, now if you want to go ahead and turn it on. And so this is what I want to see. I don't know. Let me try to zoom in on that display there to see if you can put the. No, I don't want to see that. I want to see that. Yeah.
I was moving the thing since I can't do it.
I got you. Okay. Let me go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit. See if we can't show everyone what you can actually see there. Okay. So this is what you're seeing. Now go ahead and just turn the light off real quick. See the difference between with it on and off. So there it is, the woods with it off, and then go ahead and turn it on again. All right, I'm gonna go and walk along the woods. You want to put it down towards the ground a little bit. I don't feel like climbing a tree, but I'm gonna go ahead and walk along the woods just so you can see what it looks like with a person walking in that light. All right.
You guys can see here, you can see Garret pretty well. And there you can see it's off.
All right, so I'm guessing you could see me pretty clearly, pretty easily walking in there. And what's your altitude there? You're up at 54 feet.
54 feet.
Let's go ahead and, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and climb on up to, say, I don't know, climb up to 150.
Okay.
See what that light looks like. I'm gonna zoom in here a little bit more so they can see what you're seeing there. All right, so that's up at 150 feet. Can you yaw the aircraft around a little bit? Just yaw the aircraft?
Yeah.
So one of the things you can see that's challenging for Don on this is that he actually he can't sync up the payloads together. He actually has to switch between the two to move the spotlight. He can't move the spotlight and the camera at the same time. If you don't mind, can you maybe bring it right out here in the field?
Yeah.
just maybe align them and then just yaw the aircraft maybe.
Okay.
We're gonna bring the camera down. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit here. Okay. So there's what it looks like from 150 feet. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move the camera over here to where you can see what it looks like on the ground. And maybe get this thing to focus. All right, so this is on the ground. The aircraft's up at 150 feet. And this is on the ground. And I'm just to kind of show you the light that we have, I'm gonna throw my car keys out on the ground there. So there's my car keys, my wife's car keys with my daughter. That's the car keys on the ground. Go ahead and turn the light off. And there's without it. Go ahead and turn it back on. So there it is, and there's the car keys. So you can clearly see that it turns this whole area into here pretty much daylight. This whole area that we're in. There's the woods. I can see this. This is it's really nice. It's a very nice and bright light. All right, I'm gonna come back here, walk back over here with me to Don. All right, Don. So so do we have any other controls besides the? Is it pretty much that simple, just on off,
Yep.
and that's it? Well, one thing. So tell me about one of the things that I noticed that you were having to switch back and forth to move the camera. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. So one thing that we've noticed when we tested this is that on the version 1 200 210 that when we put the gimbals in the sync mode, they should be moving together. Unfortunately, what happens is they're not doing that. As you can see, I'm moving the Z30 around.
Right.
And nothing is really happening as far as the gimbal.
Right.
If I switch over to the light, which I know you can see, normally that should then make the spotlight move, but unfortunately also it's still moving the Z30. And so, well, we also tested this with the version 2 on the M200 210, and what we noticed was on that one, if we enable the gimbal sync, that both the light and the Z30 turn together, albeit though there's some little bit of herky jerkiness with the spotlight, but it does turn with it on the version 2.
Okay. All right. So anyway, that's the operation. We're going to go back and maybe get inside. It's pretty cold out here for us Texans. I think it's like maybe, what, 50 degrees or something like that?
Yeah, it's pretty cold.
Yeah. So I want to get back inside. But anyway, it's really that simple. Just pretty much on off and a strobe option. And that's it. So we'll take it back inside and we'll talk about it a little bit more. All right. Okay, so the obvious test, this is the Wingsland Z15. The obvious test that you'd want to know is how much light does this spotlight, this M210 spotlight actually put out. So what we're going to do is we have a setup here. This isn't a calibrated, but that's not important. What's important is to give you a point of reference about how much light that actually puts out. So what we're going to do is we have a setup here, and at the same equal distance we have a regular flashlight that everybody can relate to, and then we also have the Wingsland Z15, and we're going to compare, using the same distance, we're going to compare the amount of lux that we are getting from each. So our ambient light in this room right now is registering about 52. Of course, it's ambient. We aren't getting light directly down, but let's go ahead and put the flashlight directly on there. Okay, so there you can see. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I don't know how well that can be seen, so I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so that can be seen. It's right around 130, or I think we saw 135 at one point, somewhere there. So about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on the Wingsland Z15, and let's see what it does. All right, let me I'm even getting some reflection in here. Let's see if we can. So there we are. We're just over. We're getting a little bit of fluctuation, but we're just there. I saw 32,000 lux. So that'll give you an idea of how bright this thing actually is. I know we looked at it out there, but sometimes it's good to actually quantify what we're seeing on the ground. So that gives you an idea about how bright this thing is. It is significantly bright, blinding bright, but it'll also illuminate a large area, and it will illuminate the ground even from a high altitude. So there you go, values quantified, and we'll go on to finish the review. All right, so we've gone over the Wingsland Z15 spotlight. We've gone out and you've seen it outside, test the functionality. We put it on here on the bench and we measured the lux. And overall, I kind of want to give you a summary of this review and then maybe get Don's opinion on it. And I kind of want to go over some of the things. So first thing I want to say is it is, as you know, it is a very bright spotlight. You saw the numbers on it. You saw from altitude that thing illuminated the ground like crazy. We were able to see car keys. There's a lot of use for having that bright of a light from above. And for those who are thinking flashlights, you need to really go out and test, because flashlights leave shadows, whereas a UAS shining a light down just eliminates the shadows. It's a much better situation. It does have on and off capability in flight. One of the things that with a bolt-on type of system, if you bolt it on there, you have to turn it on, go fly, and you can probably think several scenarios where you may want to have that off in flight and then just turn it on, or have it on and turn it off if it's getting in the way or something like that, but you still need to fly. So having that capability is a definite feature. A great functionality. It does have 3 different modes on it. It has steady, SOS, and flash, or twinkle. and there's a proper beam angle to this. So I want to talk about this for just a minute. What I mean by that is that Wingsland, whenever they implemented the light itself, the lighting part itself, the cones, the reflector cones that they put in here are at the proper angle for airborne operations, for UAS particular airborne operations. I know a lot of people are using things like loom cubes and other makeshift type of stuff, and that, you know what, those really aren't designed for UAS. The problem is they diffuse out at a low altitude, anything above 80 or 100 feet, and it's worthless.
It's useless.
So yeah, and so whenever they put the cones in here, you saw we were up at 150 feet and it still lit up the ground like day. And you could go much higher than that, 300 feet easily, you know. So that's a very important thing, that design was executed correctly. It's stabilized, and this is, you know, we talked about the bolt-on stuff, and anybody that's flown with any kind of bolt-on, if the aircraft is correcting for wind, you know, inducing pitch and yaw, the lights will reflect that movement on the ground as well, or on the object, the door, the house, whatever it might be. The nice thing about a stabilized light is, as you can see, the aircraft can move in whatever direction, and the gimbal will correct for it, so your light stays put on whatever you want. It is controllable in flight. So if you need to leave the aircraft in a position and you need to move the light over to a location, it does have that control. So it is fully integrated to an extent at that level. And most importantly, I want to identify and really kind of highlight this, is that a gimbaled spotlight, in particular in this case for the M210, was an identified need years ago. And I do want to thank Wingsland for coming out with a much needed solution. All right, it's needed, the need was met, and I want to give them a big thanks, regardless of you know, some of the possible critiques and stuff like that, the feedback that we're given here. I want to make sure that they know that it is an appreciated solution, and likewise for any other similar solutions. All right, with that, of course, that's kind of a segue into that this does have definite room for improvement. There are many things that can be improved on this, or even could have been improved from the beginning. And I think I'm going to let Don kind of highlight his thoughts on that and the things that could be improved.
All right, thanks, Garrett. Well, so one of the first ones that we were kind of looking forward to
is the laser, right? There's definitely a need for the laser in public safety, for obvious reasons. It helps not only if we were doing search and rescue, it helps us to point out where we've located, a stranded person during that. During fires, for hot spots and things. It definitely has uses in public safety, and we were kind of disappointed that it didn't make it in this iteration. We'd like to have seen that. The other thing that we also found during our testing was that the sync doesn't work, and like I said, I'm gonna kind of explain this, and so I don't insult anybody. There may be people out there that know what that is, but I'm also going to explain for the newer guys who may not know. And what I mean by the sync is, on the app, there's actually a button that we can hit that will basically sync the gimbals. And what I mean by that is, so if I turn the Z30, okay, it also in tandem also turns the spotlight. So why is that useful? Well, if you're looking at a particular area at night with a Z30, having that spotlight go exactly where the Z30 is looking is obviously a needed thing, because you need to be able to see where the Z30 is looking, and the light's going to illuminate that. So that's why the sync is important. So it's something that they need to definitely fix and address. That is a huge amount of that functionality can be the difference, especially during operation. It can overcomplicate it, because having to manually manipulate the spotlight while you're trying to manipulate the Z30 is just the wrong thing to do, and I think that needs to be improved. The other thing that we noticed we tested this also on the version 2 of the M210, and we noticed some herky-jerky motion with this in the sync.
That's awesome. Herky jerky. Love it. I want that in a tech manual.
So what we noticed is as the Z30 moved, this started moving, but it was it wasn't smooth. It was very choppy, and it just made the whole thing look unfinished, and looks like there was a lot of bugs there.
I think that could also cause someone to overcompensate. In other words, they're getting the sync and it's over here, so he's going to move it further, but then it's going to jump over here and he'll move it back. It's if they aren't aligned correctly, it's going to cause the pilot to overcorrect and make some mistakes on his part. Yeah.
So we are highly confident that based on what we've seen, that they did not get public safety feedback on the design of this, and so I'm going to explain why I think that. First and foremost, SOS. Really? SOS. So now we're going to put this drone up in the air and do SOS, and hey, come rescue me. It just didn't really fit. I think it's something that, again, they didn't get feedback on that, and I don't really see that as a feature that or a function that we really needed.
Right.
The flash, it's on the wrong frequency. It needs to be 18 hertz to be useful. I think that's again is a function that needs to be improved on to really be applicable in public safety. It needs to be 18 hertz. One of the most important functions that's missing that we'd like to see is the dimming function. So why is that? Well, we're talking about a 30,000 lumen or Lux spotlight. We don't want to be blinding the first responders on the ground. Like I said, this thing is extremely bright. Even at a glance, it can blind you, and it can definitely be an impediment or a problem for public safety, for police and fire on the ground. Be able to dim that spotlight so that we can illuminate an area without blinding them would be a great thing to have. The Chinese writing on this thing, we've seen that in the app. We've seen it in the UI. It just reeks that this really wasn't finished, because that needs to go away. We don't need that writing in there. We definitely need to get rid of that, and I think that's something that could be improved on as well. Another function that will make a difference is being able to bind to our Sendence controller to be able to turn this light on without having to go into the UI and manually click it in the app. Like I said, if you've flown public safety operations, you know there's a lot of stuff that goes on. We're doing a lot of things and keeping up with a lot of things. And having the ability to turn that light on with a press of a button on a Sendence controller, I think would make a difference.
Right now, you have to navigate the menus, as you saw earlier whenever you was turning it on and off, and having to navigate the menus and take away from what you might be trying to watch on the screen is a pretty big thing.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. So one of the things that I really want to touch on real quick is the history. I was really curious on this about, why, especially why that laser was removed. The laser has a magnificent capability for public safety, to indicate, to really point it. What it does is it really makes the final connection. We have ways to communicate from the ground to the air, but we've never been able to communicate directly from the air to the ground. The laser provided that, so I was really curious. I thought I was losing my mind for a minute there, but I just knew that at one time there was a laser on there. And so did some inquiring, asked some questions. Well, it turns out that at one time there was a version of the Wingsland Z15 spotlight that had a laser on it. I'm not real sure who made the the horrible decision to remove it, but it is removed. And one of the main things I want people to realize about the laser is, because there was one, I've seen a whole lot of advertising from vendors, not necessarily at their fault because it used to have one, but it's not. So if you're looking to purchase one of these and you see some old postings about with the laser, just know that if you order one now, it does not have it. I also want to kind of be clear about this. Never did DJI advertise that it would have a laser on it. I was wondering if maybe there was some advertisement from DJI and then they changed it, but they didn't. Really what it was is there was a version from Wingsland. It's not now, so just to be clear on that, these versions that come out do not have it now. Again, why they removed it, I can only probably wrap that up to, not getting external input. As Don said, many times out there, there's many times out there you have all this just internal testing and everything's internalized. They don't get proper input from the people that are going to actually use these things. And anyway, for whatever reason, it was removed, but that's kind of the history of it, of why I thought I'd share that. So with this, you've heard the pros and the cons, you've seen the flights, you've seen the testing. So Don, this is yours. You purchased this to help save lives and property. You fly for PCERT, you fly for Midlothian Police Department. Tell me, would you recommend this? What's your take on this? Would you recommend this to agencies that are considering buying this for their M210?
Well, going into that, I would not recommend it based on the current functionality and the cost of this unit. And like I said, it's no small cost. It's $2,500 for this unit. It has actually gone up. But if this meets your needs and you have the budget to do it, I wish you the best of luck. But I think you might want to consider other options out there that are at a reduced cost.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to take a look at it and review it and kind of put some numbers with it. And hope this information, like always, the reason I do this is to help out public safety. I spend a lot of time doing this kind of stuff. I don't sell drones. I don't work for any drone manufacturer. I'm not a drone dealer or anything like that. But my whole driving force is just to help public safety make informed decisions and get them the best affordable equipment to help save lives and property. So anyway, with that, I appreciate it, Don, and
Thanks, Garret.
hope this helped you, and we'll talk to you later.